What do you think is, just to quickly seg into this idea for violence on the left? We saw it with Charlie Kirk. We saw it in the years prior with a lot of the school shootings, the Catholic school shootings, and it all carries a very similar marker of mental instability with the shooter. And but there's one that was recently done at an ICE facility. I'm not caught up on that. What's going on there? Tell us a little bit more. And the reason why, before you even do, if you don't mind, just share your experience with the Border Patrol.
Well, I started my career with the Border Patrol in the mid-90s, 96. And a day before my birthday, actually, September the 9th, 96 is when I entered on duty. I served my government, served in the Border Patrol for a little over 24 years. All of it was on the border, the southern border. Presidio, started in Presidio. That, we, growing up in Van Horn, we would play Presidio and sports in high school and stuff like that. So I knew the community somewhat because of that. So when I got the orders to go, okay, this is it. I'm going to open the envelope and this is where we're going. I was visualizing Arizona, California. What? Presidio, Texas. I was like, wow, really? Okay. I was happy to have a job, man. I was happy to, although I was going from a job to this job.
Yeah.
But it was something that I had been wanting to get into for many years. And then I get Presidio and I'm like, wow. Okay, well, let's do this. Dude, it's one of the best places I worked in the Border Patrol.
Really?
Best. It was so much fun. I learned so much. There were some guys out there, man, that different walks of life, different places, different parts of the state, ended up in Presidio as well. And these guys were like Native Americans, man. I'm not saying they were Native Americans. I'm saying their skills of tracking people were that good. So I was able to extract a little bit of that. And that was so much fun. Being able to go get to the point where you're looking for a group or whatever that has made entry. A lot of times there are people smuggling drugs and stuff, and you're like, okay, you're out there by yourself, and all of a sudden, boom, you see a track, and you're like, okay, here we go, and they're gone. You don't see anything anymore.
What?
You're like, hold on. How is this happening? And you start looking around, and all of a sudden there's another one. And you just keep moving. And eventually you find yourself, walking for an hour, out in the brush. And you're tracking, you see a broken limb here. You see.
Before drones.
Oh yeah. No. This was old school. This is old school, man. No, man, we didn't even have any of that. We just had a little backpack with water, like a Camelback, and that was it, man. And we just sip on the water a little bit every once in a while and keep moving. Anyways, it was a lot of fun, man. That was a lot of fun. And then I went into the K-9 program. And that was, I think overall, that was the best time in my career.
K-9 program?
Yeah, it was so awesome, man. My dog his name was Black, and he was a German Shepherd.
I remember Black.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah.
Beautiful dog. And he was such a good tracker, and he would find, they were trained to find meth, heroin, coke, and marijuana. And man, he was such a ball of fire, dude. It's just incredible to watch to watch him. If I ever missed something, rest assured it was because of me. Because I missed his alert. I missed his indication or something, because he was a ball of fire, man. And I had to be on point to have success, with him. And I had to be on point because he just does what he does. He was such an awesome animal. And then after that, man, I just phased out of the program, and then went into a supervisory position. And then after the supervisory position, a lot of that was in office and a little more administrative, and didn't really care for it much, because it had gotten away from what I loved about the Border Patrol, being out in the field, working dogs or tracking, stuff like that. And then from there, I went into the intelligence department, and that was a lot of fun because, even though our job was not necessarily to do analytical work, to try to decipher trends and stuff like that, I used to like to try to do that. You know what I mean? Get information from this seizure, that seizure, blah, 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 and play around with it and say, hey, man, there's something, making links here and there. So that was a lot of fun. And then that's how I ended my career. Came to Presidio, Marfa Station, Marfa Sector, and then El Paso Sector.
You finished in El Paso?
Finished in El Paso, 2020. Although they're doing a rehire.
Well, how many presidents did you serve?
Started with Clinton and then all the way to Trump, first term.
Wow. So you got to see firsthand the chain of command down at the border. Wow.
And that's one thing that's been a bummer for me is, and I have to work on that spiritually. I have to work on that mentally on so many different levels, because you see that laws are passed and the government requires people to enforce those laws. Period.
Yeah, it's the law.
So our job, immigration, is heavily influenced by politics, regardless of what laws are passed. And that was a huge frustrating thing for me and many others, many other the majority of Border Patrol agents. They were very frustrated about that how politics influences the way we enforce our job, regardless of what's written in the books. They'll pass whatever executive order, or they'll pass whatever policies of how to approach X, Y, and Z. And they're not necessarily saying don't do your job straight away, but with those policies, there's suggesting, and because the suggestion is pretty set strongly, they're basically saying, you're not going to enforce this. Yeah.
So you were already out, but you have your wife, Becky, who's still in.
Yeah.
And because it's interesting, I saw a chart, and maybe I'll find it and I'll show it here, but it showed the massive spike huge spike of the amount of people coming over. And here's the position that I'm just like, it's clearly, we're talking legal immigrants coming in through the proper chains, port of entries, and then there's illegal immigrants who are breaking the law. And what I noticed early on is that the Democrats will say, we'll put them all together and say they're against all immigrants. They're against all of them. They want to deport them all. When no, we're getting those who have broken the law, those who are coming into the port of entry, those who are coming in that way. That's the right. That's the passage through, and it is legal. Go through the legal way. And so I just, it's very clear that there's a manipulation of that topic.